Yeah, Obama's cancer panel went on to cite the most important actions for American people to take to avoid cancers. Number 1, eat organic, non-toxic food and water. Number 2, avoid BPA plastics. Number 3, reduce your cell phone usage and time of calls. Number 4, avoid high radiation CT scans. And they also went to criticize the U.S. military grounds for being a major source of toxin contamination.
And that's because there are good people in government, just like the former head of the Army's DU program, Dr. Rocky. 1990, 96, wrote the manuals of how any DU that troops breathe will kill them. May take 20 years, but it will kill them. Now they don't even have the military have any protection. They just let them die. And that's what I'm saying, Bobby. This government is completely run crazy. It's totally taken over by crooks at the top. Anything else, Bobby?
Yeah, while the mainstream media completely ignored the findings, the American Cancer Society came out and attacked the claim, calling them provocative and unbalanced. And,
well, that's because the American Cancer Society is funded by the Rockefellers, who on record developed the cancer viruses they put in the vaccines. That's why cancer's up over 3,000%. Appreciate the call. You're like, oh, they wouldn't do that. I've shown you the Rockefeller Foundation documents where they talk about adding chemicals to vaccines to sterilize you, how they talk about cancer viruses, and then they're constantly caught in the mainstream news, but back of the paper, oh, the UN gave some more kids live polio, it killed them. Oh, the UN shot some more kids up with live syphilis. Oh, but let's trust our loving government. Do I have time to jam in one more call? I don't, do I? Let's talk to Karen in Arizona. You got about a minute 20. Go ahead, Karen.
Hi. I want to give you some information. About 6 months ago, our mayor was chosen to be coordinator of Homeland Security.
Yeah, that's how they circumvent regular government. They have 10 governors appointed outside in the 10 FEMA regions. They hire local operatives, just like in Red Dawn. They hire the mayor to spy on everybody. Sorry, go ahead.
And then also, when I went to the motor vehicle department 3 weeks ago, on their TV screens, if you have seen or heard anything unusual, please call Department of Homeland Security 800 number. And also, Sandra Day O'Connor is sitting in on the Ninth Circuit Court, advising the Ninth Circuit Court on this 1070.
Amazing. Yes, Target's going to have them, not just Walmart. Everywhere will be government announcements, including your license plates. California's announced will be owned by the government, will be little TV screens that flash messages about how to tattle. So just right out of 1984 or The Running Man, just tattletale screens, report on your neighbors, report guns. You watch. They're going to prime the pump saying report on suspicious activity for a year, but they've already switched on the big billboards to report on guns. And then your neighbor sees a legal gun, calls the cops on you. I mean, folks, we're in trouble. God bless you, Karen. More calls coming up. It's incredible. We're getting a lot of phone calls, emails, you name it, with listeners saying there are billboards saying report suspicious activity to Homeland Security going up everywhere. There are troops running checkpoints and searching people, and we can find it all over local news. And none of it has to do with turbaned men. It's all about putting the control grid in place before the financial collapse. And remember, they were quietly getting ready for this long before they got rid of Glass-Steagall. We're going into bondage. And it's all illegitimate. It's fraudulent. I mean, I remember in 99, before that, 98, 97, 96, going to urban warfare drills, my mouth hanging open, as Marines and Army trained to put Americans in camps and admitted they were training for gun confiscation. And I'll never forget that some media came out and said I had faked the Coronado troop ship landing in California, in Oakland, that I had faked the Marines, that I had a $25 million budget. Now we see that beta testing unfolding, and the troops are being abused. The troops are having their future destroyed. We're all in this together. We better wake up and realize what's happened. And liberals thought Bush was getting ready to take over, and conservatives think Obama's getting ready to take over. They already took over. They're just putting down the clamps. And now they're openly calling to censor talk radio and the internet. Openly. Don't you understand? This is real. It's so frustrating. I've read the Canadian law, the Australian law, and others. They are openly owned by the Queen of England. The citizens are subjects. They don't even know their parliament is a puppet parliament. Americans don't even know the Federal Reserve took over 97 years ago, is owned by the Queen of England. She owns the Bank of England. She's one of the biggest owners, and that's one of the biggest owners of our Federal Reserve. I mean, it's so frustrating because the average adult male knows all about football, all about how to act tough in public and stick their chest out and walk around acting powerful, but they don't know how to be free men. And I'm tired of it. I see these tough guys all over the street, man. I just want to punch them in the nose. It's kind of like in that movie They Live, where Rowdy Piper, is beating the guy up trying to make him wear the sunglasses. It's like, put them on. See it. It's right there. You want to be a tough guy? Actually stand up for something real. They're like, I thought devil tattoos meant I was powerful. I thought watching the Cowboys meant I was a man. You've been taught that since you were a child. And again, I don't care if you have tattoos. The point is, you know what I'm talking about. I want to go to your phone calls. It's just so frustrating to watch our country going into hardcore bondage, to watch incredible crime going on, to watch these international banks take over country after country and brag how they're doing it here, and we know exactly their formula for doing it. But I want to tell a lot of you that stayed on the fence, that decided to, quote, be safe and stay out of all this, you are the ones that are going to allow them to win. And when you lose everything you've got, just remember that. Remember you were told who did it to you. They want you poor. They want you bankrupt. They want you under their control. This country has cancer. It's called the New World Order. Wake up and admit it before it's too late. Who's up next here of all these calls? Bill in Maryland, and then Jonathan, Nate, Alex, Bruce, Julio, and others. Go ahead, Bill. You're on the air.
Alex, your show is so successful now, it's just about impossible to call in. But I got a 6-page document.
Yeah, it's so successful, I got Homeland Security following me around and writing hit reports on me. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay, because you got 1 million listeners standing next to you.
I know, I hear you. I just wish people knew how real this was.
Well, a lot of them have accepted the false paradigm. So until they accept that they're denying reality, that it's not going to click. But one of my family members came home Thursday with a 6-page thing, and I was like, do you have to read that? Because I'm trying to get family affairs in order so people can have normal lives. And it's titled, The House Republican Pledge to America Came in Through the Credit Union. And I submitted to InfoWars Thursday, but I realized you get like tons of documents every day.
No, I've seen Boehner's pledge. What about it?
Well, this is several pledges that came through the credit union, and it's worse than what you're saying, as it always is. It's freeze federal salaries and bonuses, other compensations, agencies for 3 years, freeze federal salaries, stop taxpayers subsidize union activities, $1.2 billion, and it follows up with recommendations from Obama's commission to raise the Social Security benefits and retirement from 67 to 69, and the basic entry level from 62 to 64. And like I said, it's 6 pages.
And again, they've got governor up in New Jersey cutting the road building, and people are like, oh, that's conservative. We owe 600, according to the Washington Post, of the 1.5 quadrillion, 600 trillion of that to these banks. We don't owe it. They could cut trillions of dollars. We don't owe just 14 trillion. It's 600 trillion the U.S. alone owes if we buy into these derivatives that the bankers, this inner group, says we owe. We don't owe it. They could get rid of all benefits, build no new roads, shut down all the schools, cut all of the death benefits for the troops they've paid for, cut all the health care, get rid of all government spending, and you could never pay it back. That's my point. And this is what the bankers do. They come in, they bankrupt a country, they finance big government, they then get all the debt from that through their fiat system, and then they come in and say, cut everything. This is in the IMF World Bank plans that got leaked in 2002 by BBC that we've been freaking out about for 8 years. It's in my book, Descent into Tyranny. The last chapter predicts all of this by 2010 because they said they would do it. And again, so now they're going to cut. which further kills the economy. I mean, I'm not for a planned economy. I'm not for socialism. But if you're going to have tens of trillions of tax money going someplace, it doesn't go offshore to banking families. If you do pay it to federal employees or state employees, at least they go get their hair done. They buy cars. They pay rent. They buy houses. But when you read the IMF World Bank plan, by cutting the spending that's actually on the country, that's meant to stall us even more. This is all written down by them. I've interviewed their Joseph Stiglitz, the former head of the World Bank, chief economist, Nobel Prize winner. This has all been planned. So again, nothing will fix the debt black hole except writing off the derivatives. Then, if they want to start slashing spending, there's a lot of corporate welfare, a lot of defense spending, a lot of other things we can cut. Get rid of the Department of Education. Sure. But notice they're not getting rid of that. They're cutting everybody's pay, or they're freezing it while they raise the taxes. I mean, Bill, I laid this out because they've done it in every other country. What do you think about it?
Well, I mean, I totally agree with you. And I came here a number of years ago researching the FEMA camps, and then later came, the missing organ stuff. And it sounds crazy, but if you look at the whole system like a car, and you know that you need these different parts for the vehicle to run, you realize that that the car thieves are slowly moving into the country, stealing the pieces of the engine out of the country that keeps the country going, and it fits together when you put the different pieces together and you see what's wrong. But
exactly. It's just like a corporate raider that goes in to blow out a company and sell it all off. And that's what they're doing, and there's no way out, and the Republicans are going to help them destroy the country with the Democrats. We'll be right back.
The rich get rich.
All right, I'm going to go back to your phone calls, but I want to get back into the fact that foreign families and foreign banks own the private Federal Reserve, and they've positioned themselves to destroy our economy so they can consolidate it. And, if what I'm saying is true, which it all is and is publicly verifiable to anybody who takes 5 minutes to look, shouldn't I be upset? I mean, I can't enjoy Christmas parties. I can't do anything because I've known where all of this is going. And now it's all coming true. And I'm not like, oh, look, I'm right. Isn't that great? I'm like, this is horrible. I wish I was wrong. And I see all these grown men, and I just think more of them. I'm like, why aren't you fighting? Why aren't you speaking out? Why do you talk about the TV shows you watch all day, or the video games you play, or the sports you play? Don't you get it? People had to fight for the liberty you've got. And while you're under your bed afraid of brown-skinned men that wear turbans, you better wake up and understand the bankers fund those people, and they're taking over our nation. It's like Canadians. I've been on so much Canadian radio, and I'll bring up, they're like, oh, your conspiracy theories about a new world order. I'm like, well, here's Time Magazine, New York Times promoting world government. And I go, well, what about 2 years ago? They suspended your parliament twice, and the Queen of England took control of it through the Governor General. And they just go, let's move on now, because they can't deal with it. And I read... You can go read the minutes of it where the Queen of England takes over any country she wants. She is one of the biggest owners of our Federal Reserve, and I'm sick of it. Here's another New York Times. Canadian leader shuts down Parliament for a second time. A few months after that happened, they moved to throw him out of office again, which is what the Parliament can do, and the Queen came in and activated the Governor General again. And you look at the UN, you look at FEMA, we're under 10 governor generals. That's all official. They're putting the threat fusion centers in. The billboards are going up. The telescreens with feds giving you orders about spying are going in. I mean, this is dangerous. You're not going to sit on the sidelines and get out of this, folks.